Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to join you all. This is the Legal Aid Society's tax department. I'm here with my team of all-stars, Travis Deane, Wendy Romero, Luz Rodas. Wave, everybody. Hi, how's everybody? They're going to be off video in a little bit. We're going to start talking about our presentation. Kenya's here as well from the Law Library. We appreciate their help. We want to remind you all, please fill out their surveys, right? Law Library sends everybody who's attending a survey. We love to get everybody's feedback. It helps the Law Library put on better performances, better presentations for everybody in the community. Our goal here with the Law Library and Legal Aid is we want to educate the public on your rights. That might be the tax department, sometimes it might be the immigration department, might be consumer. We just want to tell you what the law is, how it affects you all, make sure you know your rights, you're protected. So that's our plan. We're going to do this presentation here for about 55 minutes here, leave some time for questions. My team's going to take some of the slides and we're going to just basically kind of go from there. I think Wendy, who's my outreach guru, has sent me the assignment order for the slides. I don't have it in front of me, so hopefully she'll tell me when to go to who. But we're going to start here in a bit. Again, everybody's here. Travis, Luz, and Wendy from the Tax Department of Legal Aid. Glad you're all here with us. I'm going to start sharing my screen. And I promise I've had a lot of coffee, but I will slow down talking here in a bit. Here is our PowerPoint, and we're going to start here. So 2024 taxes are going to be due soon, everybody. Oh boy, right? There's only two things in life that are guaranteed. As once someone famously said, I think it was Benjamin Franklin, who said death and taxes. That's the only two things you know for sure in life. So we're going to talk about one of those things because we hope everyone's still living and doing their thing on life on the planet Earth. So preparing for 2024 filing, everybody. The deadlines, right? When you're going to get this in, who helps you do it, what's involved. That's what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about basically some before tax filing things you need to kind of remember: introduction to filing status and dependents. Meat and potatoes part of our program, we'll talk about taxes and expectations, right? The 2024 tax filing deadline, some common reasons to file. Some people say to us in the office, oh, I don't need to file, right? I didn't make enough money. And we always say, just file anyway. File the tax return anyway, always. With the federal government, it's the Internal Revenue Service. State of California, we all live in, it's the Franchise Tax Board, the FTB. Lots of acronyms. Again, the slides, by the way, we will give them to the folks at the San Diego County Law Library in Kenya. We'll post them later on. We're going to make some edits. This is available to you all. Don't worry about taking notes. Wendy always reminds everybody there's no need to take notes. We're going to have lots of info for you, so it's hard to keep up. So it's okay to just listen, and then later on you can have this info available to you at the Law Library. They post all of these presentations that we do on their website, okay? That's another great feature that we love about the Law Library. They put this stuff up for everybody to see. So, and then at the end, right, we're going to talk a little bit about after you filed, what do you do? So, I think this is still me. Again, Wendy will tell me when I'm supposed to stop yapping and hand it over to the next person. So, what happens when you start working somewhere, right? This is where we want to start. 75% of the public, give or take a little bit, are wage earners. We call that a wage earner. We call that a W-2 that you get at the end of the year. Now, when you start working at the company, frankly, when Kenya started working at the San Diego Law Library, when I started working at Legal Aid, I had to fill out some of these forms called a W-4. It's basically used to tell your employer how much of taxes to take out of your paycheck, okay? Now, that's because we are, in this country, the rule is pay as you go. You pay your taxes as you go. So, about 75% of us in the public have this done for us automatically, correct? Your paycheck has taxes taken out for you every time you get paid. Many different reasons, okay? Social Security gets funded this way. You pay taxes out of your paycheck to fund the Social Security system. That's why when I hear people in the public say that, oh, we want to cut down on these entitlements, they call these benefits entitlements. I don't think so. I don't think so. These are taxes Kenya, we all pay into the system of Social Security, and I have earned these benefits when I retire or I'm disabled. They're mine. I've paid into them. I just want to make sure everybody understands that when we have taxes come out of our paycheck, they don't go out into the world and we don't see them again. Our taxes that we pay to the federal government fund our Social Security system. They fund our Medicare system. Healthcare for everybody who's a senior is paid for you because you pay into the system. We all share in this way. California state taxes get taken out. Unemployment insurance money gets taken out of your paycheck to fund the unemployment insurance department of the state of California so that you can get paid when you're laid off or fired. These are all taxes that come out of our paychecks. Taxes come out of our paychecks to pay for the roads and the schools and the police and the fire departments. That's where taxes go. So everybody gets paid, taxes come out of our paychecks, and they get put into these different pools of money, and then we take from them, from Social Security when we retire, for the police department and the fire department that helps to stop fires when they start. I, Kenya, Travis, Wendy, Luce, and everybody on this program who pays taxes paid for all of those things out of our paychecks and out of our earnings. So just make sure you update the IRS with your people in the household so that the right amount of taxes get taken out. And then there's some different ways people file. Sometimes you're single, you're not married, you file on your own. You might have a spouse, you file with him or her. Sometimes you might be the head of household, right? Maybe you're the grandparent, you're the grandmother or the grandfather who is taking care of the grandkids. You're the head of household. Sometimes you're qualifying widow. Different types of ways to file. Now, who can be claimed on a tax return, right? This is also important. There's some different definitions the IRS has. Everything we tell you, by the way, on these presentations relate to the definitions and the terms that the Internal Revenue Service uses. So when the IRS says you're the head of the household, they mean something very specific. When they say who can be claimed as a dependent, they say a dependent is someone who cannot file a joint return, must be a resident of the US, Canada, or Mexico, and that person must be a qualifying child or qualifying relative. And last but not least, this person cannot be claimed as a dependent on another tax return. Anyway, there's all these rules, y'all. Again, don't have to take notes. Just listen to us as we try to tell you what to expect for this 2025 calendar year, where everybody has to file their 2024 returns. I've said most of my piece. I'll jump in here and there when the team comes in and talks about their parts, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to kick it off now to Wendy.
It's actually Luz Shahin.
Oh, Luz, there you go.
You? Hey, what do I need to file my 2024 taxes? I start by gathering your W-2s, 1099s, and other income documents such as Social Security statement, retirement, gambling wins, self-employment income. Also be ready to share with your tax preparing information about jobs, unemployment, children, other dependents, healthcare, education, or student loan. Make an appointment with 211 as soon as possible for free tax filing services. Next one, please.
I want to stop here, Luz. Why do we tell people to call 211? Do they get their returns done for free when they call 211? Because 211 hooks them up with a place called Vita. Sorry, I wasn't quizzing. I was just leading to a question.
They do, yeah.
That's the best part, right? Because 211 then like takes your info, where you live, what zip code you're at, and they team you up with a Vita. Good, okay. Sorry.
And this is subject to eligibility requirements too.
Of course, yes, like not everybody. Yes, awesome. Thank you. Sorry. Next slide.
Benefits of filing taxes even when not required. It allows you to get refundable credits such as overpayment of taxes, EITC, child tax credit, or first-time homebuyer credit. It also gives you protection against future audits and IRS mistakes, tax fraud, and identity theft.
How about that last one on the bottom, Luz? Is that important? What happens when you file your return?
It's someone else. It's easy to claim state credits. It proves residency and good moral character for immigration.
Yes, I know that's a topic, right? Everybody's thinking these days about, making sure you got all your P's and Q's. So this is an important thing about filing a return. I am an immigrant, y'all, myself. And so when I became a citizen, part of the process to become a naturalized citizen, let me make sure y'all can see me. Part of the process for being a naturalized citizen, this happened back in the mid-90s for me as a student at UCSD with my parents, was my parents had to show that they have good moral character, okay? They have to prove that they lived here. And so one of the ways they did that was by filing returns every year on time. Same now, right? It's 30, 40 years later, nothing's different. Everybody's got to file the returns. And when you file your return as an immigrant, like myself and some of us on this presentation, you are going to be able to prove that your residency and your good moral character are now checked off, and it's easier for you to naturalize. It's a good thing. Excellent. Thank you, Luz. Next one.
When to file by. A regular deadline to file for 2024 is April 15, 2025. Don't miss out on your refund for tax year 2024. File your taxes as soon as possible to avoid paying interest and penalties. Typically, if taxpayers need more time to file their taxes, they need to file the IRS Form 4868 before April 15 of this year, which provides a 6-month extension to file taxes until October 15th of the same taxable year.
Awesome. Thank you, Luz. I'm gonna put one of the lawyers on the program here on the spot here. Travis, you mind coming off mute and getting on video? It's gonna be an easy question. It's not hard for him. He can answer it with his
Quiz
hands
time.
with his hands tied behind his back. Travis, when we talk to people about this form, this 4868 that says, hey, you know, I haven't got my paperwork yet ready. I gotta send it to you later on. What do we always warn them about sending this in? We're like, look, even if you send this in, doesn't mean you have to not do something. What is it?
It's the an extension to file your taxes is not an extension to pay your taxes.
Bingo.
So even if you file the extension and you end up owing, you're going to have to, there's going to be a penalty, a failure to pay penalty that you will suffer by not getting that done. So even if you're self-employed, where I think we're going to talk about self-employment coming up on these slides, even if you're self-employed, you still have to make a deposit, you estimate what your taxes are going to be and send that in, even if you don't have all the paperwork to file.
Awesome.
So segue into this next slide.
A+. Thank you, sir. Yep, go on.
Here's a list of the sources of income. I'm pretty sure everyone there is going to be familiar with the W-2 wages. But we've got all these different sources of incomes that you have to put on your tax returns. These different forms of 1099s, unemployment, interest, retirement, dividends, gambling winnings. We've seen that's a big one because even if you didn't make any money gambling, the form that gets sent to the IRS is only the form that shows how much you won, not how much you lost. Telling the IRS how much you lost is your responsibility. We're also going to talk about this 1099K. This is becoming a big issue. This is the form that's sent by the cash apps that you may be using, Venmo, Zelle, things like that. They've recently lowered the threshold down to if you have more than $5,000 worth of transactions in a calendar year, the Cash App is now going to send documents to the IRS showing that this is income for you, and it's going to have to be reported. So even if it's just stuff where you're sending money in between family and stuff like that, you're going to have to explain that. So that's becoming an issue.
We're going to stop here in the presentation because things have gotten spicy. My jacket had to come off. Travis, I think we can safely say this will be the biggest area of need for our office going forward. And I think this is because of you all out there in the community, right? Well, what's happening in our economy is there's a lot more people doing this gig worker kind of stuff, right? Whether it's lifting or Ubering, it's Amazon Flex. Travis, don't we have a couple cases now where we have folks that are Amazon Flex and they're getting paid this way? And so let's go back to this issue about the estimated self-employment tax stuff. You know, if you guys remember earlier, I'm going to kick it to Travis here in a minute. Just hang with me. I swear we're going to get to the punchline here. We talked just about a few minutes ago how I said 75% of the public, give or take a few percentages, gets money by earning wages. The reason I left the other 20% or so is some of that percentage is these folks that are self-employed and are earning some sort of way, a earning that is self-employment income. Now, for those folks, it is way different when I say the rule, and the rule is the same for them. I said the rule is pay as you go. Pay as you go is easy for the 75% of us that are wage earners. Me, Travis, Luz, Wendy, Kenya, all y'all out there that get a W-2 and you get a paycheck every 2 weeks. Here's the question, Travis. Now, if you're self-employed, well, how do you do that then? Because there's no one's paying you a paycheck. How do you comply with the rule that says pay as you go? Go.
So you're required to make quarterly estimated tax payments. The easiest way to do that is you look at what you earned the year before and then sort of split that in 4 quarters and do it that way. If it's your first year doing it, you'll just have to sort of pick a percentage, like maybe 20%, something like that, and just sort of hope it's enough, unless you're the kind of person who's going to be preparing your taxes as you go, which is pretty rare. So we're talking about what I just talked about. The 20,000 is going down to 5,000. That's going to then decrease further to 2,500, and then eventually it's going to be $600. So even if you're just using these cash apps for non-business purposes, you're just transferring money between, friends and family and things like that, be on the lookout for that because the IRS is going to get a record of those transactions. The IRS is going to count that as income and say that, well, you're not reporting all your income. So let's see what else is on this. Also keep in mind, yeah, these 1099 income is for all of these different gig type jobs. So if you're doing, Lyft, Uber, these types of things, 1099 income is there's no taxes withheld from your income like you would with wages, and you are responsible for withholding your own tax and then paying it in these sort of quarterly transactions. All right, next slide, please.
Doing some multitasking. Hang on. There we go.
All right, so some of the forms you have to file, you still file your 1040. There's two different, Schedule C is generally where you report all your business expenses. There's two types of Schedule Cs. There's the Schedule CEZ if you have expenses less than $5,000 and you have no employees. Everyone else files a regular Schedule C. And another important thing to mention about being self-employed is that your Social Security taxes. If you are employed, you have wages, W-2 wages, your employer pays half of your Social Security taxes, these other types of taxes. So it's about 7.5%. But if you are self-employed, you are responsible for paying the full 15%. So that can be a big shock to people if they transition from a W-2 job. They think, oh, someone's going to offer me a 1099 job and they're going to pay me more money. This looks like a great deal. And so you realize you're actually having to pay an extra 7.5% on taxes. So suggestions to track your expenses. It's important that you track your expenses as you go rather than trying to create a list of expenses later on, because if you do get audited by the IRS, a journal of expenses that you created as you were incurring the expenses holds more weight with the IRS and is more persuasive when you're trying to take those deductions down the road, including mileage. That's an important one. Next slide, please.
Multitasking. Thank you.
So here are the estimated tax payments. The big one on here are the due dates. So you're supposed to be paying them quarterly. I believe you don't really incur the charge though until they're actually due at the end of the year. So this is really just to keep in mind those deadlines. It's much easier to stay on top of it if you're paying them quarterly. Next slide, please.
I wanted to chat here though, Travis. So I want to explain to folks what the, let me come back up. So we are telling you, everybody, to do these estimated tax payments. Now, we realize for lots of folks, it's very difficult while you're running your business to have extra money set aside. So while we would like everybody to do this, we know not everybody can. Now, I just want to check with Travis. So what happens if you miss these, Travis? Now, whenever the year ends, and if I haven't made any of my estimated quarterly tax payments, let's say I have to make $500 each. That means I'm short $2,000 of taxes. How much is the penalty that the IRS imposes on you for not having paid your estimated quarterly payments? Is it a lot or just a little bit?
I don't remember the exact percentage, but it definitely adds up over time.
Right. No. Yeah, I think I wanted to make the point was you just sort of doing the pay the piper now or pay him later. Okay. So if you don't have enough money to pay those estimated payments every 3 months, it's okay. The IRS will ding you a little bit. If your total tax debt was 2,000 and you sent them zero, I think the payment for missing your estimated quarterly tax payments is like 150, $200 or so. But the point is you still owe the 2 G's. So I think Travis and I are trying to push everybody to see if you can make these payments, because you're just not going to have trouble at the end of the year. What happens when we see clients that come to us that have year after year self-employment, Travis can tell you, it's because they cannot keep up with this, right?
Right. The issue that we see,
snowballs,
the issue that we see people, the issue that we see people occurring is that the IRS is actually a very easy creditor to ignore at first. So if you're trying to run a business and you're having some cash flow problems, you have to pay your employees. If you don't pay your employees within a couple of weeks, they quit. If you don't pay your suppliers, they stop sending you supplies. If you don't pay your estimated tax payments, basically nothing happens for at least a year. So for the most part, people say, well, it's pretty easy to just not pay my taxes. I'll pay it later when things are doing well. But what happens is things don't always pick up. Now you're in a problem where you owe taxes. Every time you try to pay your taxes, they're going to take they take that money to pay your old taxes first. You end up incurring new penalties on the new taxes. It's a process of what the IRS refers to sometimes as pyramiding. where the tax that you owe at the bottom keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you keep stacking more and more taxes on top of it until eventually you have this giant pile of taxes that you can't get rid of. So that's really the real important part about staying on top of your estimated tax payments, is to keep this from becoming a bigger problem down the road.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you, sir. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. You did great. Another
No,
80.
it's a flash quiz today on the.
You all know that Travis is an attorney who has expertise in 3 areas of law. He has now learned unemployment insurance benefits because we made him. He also has bankruptcy and tax experience, so he can easily shift between spots. Frankly, so can my
And
advocate.
unfortunately, I see the transition of how the taxes leads into the bankruptcy. It's not something you really
Right,
want to get
right.
into.
I was going to say Luz and Wendy also. I think they both, especially Wendy, has had to pick up extra areas of law. So, we were now talking about, well, look, generally speaking, what are your filing requirements, Travis? I mean, we put this table up to tell everybody, basically, if you don't have self-employment income, those are some of the tables and income levels that you should kind of be looking at, right?
Right. And the thing that I just wanted to mention about this table is, just because you're not required to file taxes doesn't mean that you shouldn't file taxes. We often emphasize that there are lots of like tax credits and refundable tax credits, that we'll talk about what a refundable tax credit is in here in a second, that you can get even if you weren't required to file taxes. Like, one of the big things during the pandemic is a lot of the stimulus money that you were getting, especially through the state of California, was tied to your last filed tax return. It also prevents other people from filing a tax return in your name. We've had several clients where they say, well, I'm on Social Security, I'm under the income threshold, I don't file my taxes. And now all of a sudden the IRS says I owe $20,000. How did that happen? It's because somebody else filed taxes for you. And because nothing happened, they did it year after year after year. And now, big surprise, you owe a bunch of taxes that aren't yours. So,
And I think
protect
Travis,
yourself, file your tax return.
yeah, Travis and I would both say, I mean, I think I've practiced for about 20 plus years and he's probably practiced about 10 or so. It is going to become a more frequent issue because of technology. But what we mean by that is, whereas 20, 30 years ago, it was hard to steal a senior citizen social security number, right? And pretend to be her and file a return and claim a credit. 20, 30 years ago, that was hard. Today, very easy, very easy. I was telling my team that, Luce and I went to the conference in DC a couple months ago for the IRS and the LITCs, the Low Income Tax Per Clinic. That's what we do here in the office. And one of the experts up there about internet and their technology software to secure their system said that every day, 8 a.m., every minute, every second of every day, IRS gets hacked. And people's private identifying information become available to somebody else. This is what Travis means, right? The senior citizen who gets Social Security and figures, why would I file? Her info gets stolen by somebody without her doing anything. And then the person files a return and says, I have a fuel credit energy that I want to get paid, $23,000 refund. And now she comes to see us, right, Travis? And we have to undo everything.
Right.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, sir. So, as he mentioned, there's some deductions and marginal tax rate changes for this year. You know, tax law changes always, right, Travis? Every year is something different.
Right.
And so these are some deductions. I think, oh, we got a question maybe. Hey, anyone, Q&A. Oh, hello. Thank you for your time. What is Vita? Ooh, Diana, you asked an excellent question. I might kick it over to Wendy soon and have her tell you. Because is she up next? Wendy, who's up next? Is that you?
Yes, I'm next.
Coolio. All
Oh,
right.
no, wait, this is Travis.
Well, it's
But
okay.
I'm
I think I
going
got
to
one
talk
right.
about Baida in about like 2 slides, so hang
Let's
on
make-
tight.
Let's mix it up, y'all. Here's what we'll do. I'll do these real quick. So there's credits and deductions. Different, obviously, is that one of them you get money back. The other one you get to pay less taxes, okay? So because we had that lovely question, we're just going to skip that slide. And I'm going to go to Wendy now and ask Wendy. Wendy, what is VITA? Tell the folks.
So Baida is volunteer income tax assistance places. So these places, Diane, if I don't recall the name on the question, are places where you can call and you can file your taxes for free, especially if you earn $67,000 or less and meet other requirements that these organizations have. So these places, they can help you file your taxes for free, and also they can help self-employed individuals who can claim up to $35,000 $1,000 in expenses with no limit on item number. And so it's a great tool to file your federal and state taxes with assistance from reliable tax preparers who will be willing to answer all of your tax questions. So our recommendation, please call VITA. The reason why Luz emphasized a little bit on it at the beginning of the presentation was because these volunteer income tax assistance places, VITA, the spots and appointments fill out pretty fast, and everybody's trying to file their taxes before April 15th. So make sure that you please call them, get an appointment as soon as possible. They'll suggest your nearest VITA place available. So, make sure you call them to schedule an appointment. And there is also a website called myfreetaxes.org. So this website is also for low-income individuals, or mostly for self-employed individuals who want to file their taxes, and also small business owners. So you could be referred by a VITA site to file your own taxes, or also on your own, you can file your own taxes. They have a specialist over the phone during this tax season. So from January 27 to April 15, Monday to Friday, 10 to 6 p.m. And they have a really good guides for self-employed individuals. So in here, it's supposed to be 67,000. So if you feel like very confident in filing your taxes on your own, you want to use myfreetaxes.org, feel free to do it. And they have really helpful guides in doing so. And remember, filing your taxes are always your responsibility. So whether a tax preparer is helping you or you're filing on your own using the tax software, make sure that you understand the components of it. And remember, all online features that you use with the tax filing programs, especially with VITA, they should always say free as you're being used. And also, if you were to use all the other tax software that is available online, make sure that if it says free, it continues to be free all the way. But if it doesn't, then exit it and don't submit the return, so that way you don't get charged for anything that you didn't know that you found. So just be on the lookout for that. Next slide. So then, what are some options, additional free tax filing options from the IRS? There is also Free File. So this website is one that is available by the Free File Alliance. So it's like about a profit organizations that helps out taxpayers to file their taxes for free, but everything is online. So tax season has already begun. It will be available until October 15, 2025. And so the baseline income is $84,000 or less. So, these organizations and the Free File has become really good over time. And so, it has easy tools in how to calculate the earned income tax credit and child tax credit. But this website does not have a state return forms available. So you must have a franchise tax board account and file both the federal and state tax returns separately. And then it also requires you to have an email. So here are some statistics. So more than 75 million more than 75 million returns have been filed using Free File. 70% of American taxpayers are eligible to receive this program, and 98% of the users will recommend using this program. So if you're feeling confident, you have an email, you have an IRS.gov account, and you're okay filing your own returns separately on your own online, feel free to do so. And they also have representatives that can help you as you're filing your taxes. Next slide.
Wendy, we
Yes.
always tell folks, though, obviously, while these things are available to them in terms of their ability, especially the younger folks in our community who have better technology, skills, I think we still want to let the public know that we would really love for you all to use VITA, though, right? If you're able to go to those places and see them in person, and obviously, plus Wendy can tell you guys what happens is when we do these VITA year meetings where the lovely folks at VITA tell us about all the different things they did. We love to hear stories of families coming back year after year, right, Wendy? Tell us a little bit about how that gets told to us when we in our office. Let me get back on screen so everybody can see what I'm talking about. Sorry, I think it makes sense when you can see what I'm saying. We in the office here at Legal Aid, we're always handling the aftermath of a return, okay? When the return's already been in and it's problems with it, we're trying to fix it. There's a there's an audit, there's a collection matter. But, you know, we don't see the folks who go and have no problems with their returns, who get their refunds without any issues. And those are always going to be at these VITA places, because the VITA sites, I'm glad that person asked, you know, the VITA sites are a creation of lots of different organizations, y'all. When Wendy and I started to promote VITA really heavily 5 years ago, we always used to say to everybody that it's a wonderful description of how a community comes together to help every single person in the community, meaning the IRS, the United Way of San Diego, 211, the County of San Diego, MAC Project, San Diego Housing Commission, North County Lifeline, Interfaith Community Services, South Bay Community Center, CDC Logan Heights, COPAL. All these organizations are involved in this VITA program. IRS funds it, United Way delivers it, but all these people are involved. So back to my question, Wendy, when we're at those VITA awards presentations and all these wonderful volunteers in the community who do this for free are asked about what are their favorite things they notice when they see people come to get their taxes done. In my mind, it's always the stories of the VITA folks telling about how they see the same family come year after year, right, Wendy? And they see the same family coming back happy and getting their refunds, right?
Yeah, and it's a matter of, I think, of trust. So, you know, if you know, if you have
Yes.
a person that could answer your question. So for some people, you know, they're able to, you know, go on their computer, file their taxes on their own. And, you know, they're okay with the information that they find on the IRS.gov or also on the Franchise Tax Board website. They can file their taxes on their own, right? But the majority of the people, they do need that extra assistance and extra understanding, someone that will listen to their story and understand what you know, what tax credits they could claim, what will be their return, and you know, how much would they receive as a refund. So it's with VITA sites, that's often that what we hear. And even with our own clients, we typically also hear that they keep going to that same VITA site year after year after year because they trust that place and they trust the tax preparer. And that's what a lot of the VITA sites have also been trying to do, improve on their services, make sure that since the moment they receive clients to the moment their tax returns are filed, they're there for their clients. And even with a small after tax issue, you know,
Right.
they can assist them, but if it's a bigger after tax issue, then they send them to us and you know, we can continue to assist them. But it's you know, we're very happy to hear also that a lot of our clients, they come from a VITA place and they have been using VITA to file their taxes.
And in reality, a lot of our work at the LITC could not be done without the help of VITA, because Wendy just mentioned to you all, we lots of times send them a referral, but then we get their referrals. I know we have our friends at our VITA places. Carlos up in Interfaith in Escondido helps us out. We have Valerie and the team at Dreams for Change with the wonderful Dr. Teresa Smith, who is running that organization wonderfully and does so much good in the community. We love to hear those stories. So now, after having teed up Wendy to talk about VITA as an option, we're going to tell you guys about how you youngsters can still go to the IRS website, right? Could they do something called direct file, Wendy? I think so.
It's called direct file. So, you know, this is the second year in a row that this website is up and running. It's in the space too. So right now, this program direct file is a pilot program that the IRS has been implementing since last year. And you know, this website will be available also until October 15 of 2025. And you know, there are 25 participating states. In California, I remember there is a federal tax that needs to be filed. So this will be what will be the option to file your federal taxes, but then you would also need to file a state return with the Franchise Tax Board. It's available by cell phone, laptop, tablet, desktop computer in English and Spanish, and with representatives ready to answer any tax questions. And now for this phase two, these are the people that could use this website. So any W-2 earners, if they receive Social Security income, railroad retirement, unemployment, interest income, pension and annuity income, excluding IRAs. And people could also claim this credit. So their earned income tax credit, the child tax credit, their other dependent credit, child care credits, premium tax credit, and then the savers credit and credit for the elderly and disabled. However, it's still for the self-employed individuals, independent contractors, or just simple, like complicated returns or the ones that require itemized deductions. The IRS is still recommending just don't use their software yet because it's not ready. It's still on its phase 2. So it is estimated here in California that taxpayers will still need to have both an IRS .gov account to file their federal taxes and franchise tax board to file their state taxes, with over 5.6 million taxpayers eligible. There are issues with identity affecting particularly people of color and vulnerable taxpayers because of other identity verifying software. And so there is a possibility of other software being used, but like we said, it's barely on phase 2, this program. At this point, we are not sure if this program will continue for other phases or if it will span in the future for other future tax years. You guys could always check out the direct file website, and we'll keep you posted with any updates that we hear. And then over here on the right, you guys can see what were some of the highlights from last year's tax season results. And we can tell you, in comparison to the previous phase of this program, you know, we're very happy to see like the expansion of this, because last year only some taxpayers could use this program. Only some credits could be claimed. So we're very happy to see that, even though, the future of this program is still uncertain, at least, a lot of more taxpayers will be able to use this program.
Thank you,
let's-
Wendy. I appreciate it. No, I know. I wanted to stop here because one of the things that is a hope of ours, a wish of ours. You guys maybe saw me earlier. I was on video going like this. The reason I'm crossing my fingers and hoping is that we are expecting that this program is going to be gone by next year, because the reason is our I got to be careful here with my words, okay? So our civic government works this way, in that there are representatives from all the states who go to Washington, D.C., and they create laws and they pass laws and then they enforce these laws, okay? So some of these lawmakers are given contributions by companies to vote their way. So Intuit, H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, any financial company that wants to prepare taxes does not want the lawmaker to provide this free service to the public. I'm just being real with everybody. I'm not saying right or left, Democrat, Republican, that doesn't matter. I promise you, it doesn't matter which aisle the representative, the lawmaker is from. It could be the furthest progressive, the furthest far right, does not matter. The H&R Block and the bankers, they don't care. They just want to make money. So for them, the online H&R Block or the online Intuit, which is TurboTax, or the Jackson Hewitts, they don't want this direct file. This is a enemy of theirs. I'm being real with y'all, I'm just explaining it. So because of that, we are hopeful, we wish that this would stick around, because it would provide the public with a free way to file. We just don't know, and we expect it to be gone in a year. So I think Wendy and I would both say, if you are able to, if you have technological capability, go ahead and use it. It might not be here next year. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I just expect this to be the case. So thank you, Wendy. I appreciate the information on this direct file. We obviously want everybody to utilize it as best as they can.
Okay. All right. So now let's move on to the common family tax credits. Next slide. So let's talk about the earned income tax credit. So pretty much, this is one of the biggest anti-poverty measures. So this is a refundable credit for low-income working taxpayers and family with an adjusted gross income below a certain level. So this tax credit has been available for about 50 years. This year is their 50th anniversary. So as of last year, 23 million eligible workers and families receive about 57 billion in EITC claims. And so remember, this credit is based on income and the number of children in the household. So what are some qualifications? So the taxpayer must have earned income, so W-2, 1099, self-employment, from about $1 to $66,819. All individuals, including the taxpayers, must have a Social Security and must also be a U.S. citizen or legal resident during the tax year. It's available for all filing statuses, including married filing separately, And it's also the taxpayer must be 25 years to 65 years old or older by the end of the year. And then it also for the qualified dependent, here are some requirements here on the right that it must be your child or blood relative. They must meet the age requirements and live with you for more than half of the year. Next slide. Slide.
Multitasking, sorry.
Yes. So then, as I mentioned, the maximum amount was increased to $632 for a single persons with no dependents, and up to $7,830 for a married filing jointly family with 3 dependents. And so there is no look back at the previous year's taxes to help you get a bigger EITC credit. So now for the CalEITC, it's also hitting an anniversary year, 10th anniversary this year. And so, as you guys can see, over $1 billion have been claimed. And so what do you need to do? So very similar to the federal EITC, you must qualify for the program at the federal level. You need to have a social security number or ITIN, live in California for half of the year. As we mentioned, available for all filing statuses. And this year, another big change for the California credits is that they phase out at 31,950 adjusted gross income. So the taxpayer must have, that's the limit on how they will qualify for that tax credit. So from $1 to $31,950. Next slide. So now the Young Child Tax Credit and the Foster Youth Tax Credit. So the Young Child Tax Credit is a credit available for taxpayers who qualify for CalEITC and have children under 6 years of age. So the parents, they can receive up to $1,117 per child dependent. And as you can see, because of this change in the adjusted gross income, there is a $37 increase from from last year's taxes. And the same thing goes for the Foster Youth Tax Credit. So this is a credit available for current or former foster youth. So taxpayers can receive $1,154, or if they're married filing jointly, $2,308. So it's the same thing, $37 increase from the taxes last year. And so to qualify for that, you must qualify for the CalEITC, being 18 to 25 years old, be part of the foster care system from age 13 and up, or still be in that system, and then meet the foster care verification requirements. So whenever you go with your tax preparer, if you know you have children that qualify for these credits, especially in California, make sure that you ask for these, because it's a small increase, but it's better than nothing. And you want to make sure that you can claim these credits and get them in your refund.
Yes, I just realized when you looked at my clock, I have messed up and had a bunch of different interruptions. So we are way behind the slides, everybody. We're in slide 23 of 37. So I'm just going to go through these quickly because there's a lot to go through. Okay, so we're just going to tell you guys that there are some comparisons that are different when you look at the EITC for 23 and 24. This is this chart that Wendy put together. It's basically explaining to you how from one year to the next, you're going to have a difference in the total refund, right? She just explained that. So then there's some other EITC tables that are wonderful that Wendy put together. They give you guys a description between the California EITC one and the federal one, how they sort of stack up against each other. What are the qualifications for each? Again, terrific information, you guys, but we got to kind of run through it a little bit quickly. There's also a child tax credit that everybody can qualify for if they meet all these requirements. There's a lot of info, like I said. Wendy does a terrific job of giving you guys an explanation of what happens from one family. Same kiddos, right? Johnny's getting a little bit older. Evan's getting a little bit older. Same with Sydney. I feel like this is our family because Wendy's used these good folks for a couple of years now with all the it's so cool. I don't know when they're gonna start driving. So she's got the explanations of how this works for the kiddos. I know Luce is supposed to go through these. I'm gonna go through them quickly again because I want to leave some time for descriptions. Unless Luce, you want to go through these super quick, like a speed demon? We can go through these if you want.
I could try, yes.
I speak fast. Not everybody is as crazy as me. So what are some of these credits, Luz?
Okay, so credit for other dependents. This is not refundable credit. It's for individuals with dependents who meet additional conditions. In addition to the credit for child and dependent care expenses, the maximum amount you can claim for the credit is $500. And It's highly beneficial for family with 17, 18, or 19-year-old students who are studying on a full-time basis. For tax year 2024, will not qualify for the CDC.
Right. And this is a very specific scenario, but I think Wendy and I had thought about how there's lots of families that have those kiddos that are getting older and 17, 18, 19-year-olds. This is really for them. And then we wanted to remind you about refunds, right, Luz? Like when they're going to get sent out. It takes a while, right?
It does, yes, 7 to 10 days, but usually takes 21 days to process.
And Wendy does a good job telling you guys very specifically some of these dates. Again, you can check this out later. Easy peasy. Now, what if you owe, Luz? What do you got to do?
So it must be paid by April 15th, 2025. The payment options include money orders, pay by credit or debit card. Other options to pay back to the IRS are installment agreements, offering compromise, currently not collectible, and the last one is declaring bankruptcy.
Right, and we can certainly quiz Travis if we wanted to on that, but I'm not gonna, but he's probably thinking I'm gonna. So I wanted to stop here on the next slide. Thank you, Luz. So before we start talking about tax fraud prevention tips, I want to talk about this one thing Luz just said in this last one. She was talking about how you can pay your debt, okay? I want to talk about this for about a minute. IRS has wonderful ways on their website for you to take care of lots of different things, to look to see what's going on with your current year, check to see if you filed, what's going on in terms of a letter you got. However, I want to tell everybody out there, you can still do the old-fashioned way to pay your debt, which is to pay a certain amount of money every month on the same day of the month. I'll give you an example of one of my clients who we did this for as a test. We did a court case for my client who took out some retirement money in 2017, so he owed money, like $8,000. We finished the court case, and now we come to settling. How do you pay this $8,000? He explains to me he can't pay it. I say, that's fine. And I give him all these different options, right? Hey, you can do money order, personal check, Treasury Department, direct withdrawal, credit card. But I told him, I would rather have you do something very specific. Sir, my client, Mr. John Doe, I told him you owe a lot of money, $8,000. If you can't afford to pay like really big payments every month, like $200 or so, what you do is you establish your payment plan on your terms by sending in a very specific amount of money every particular day of the month. He can pick whatever day he wants, the 5th of the month, the 10th of the month, the 15th, doesn't matter. He did that starting in July of 2023. He paid $50 on the 10th of the month every month for about 10 months. And guess what happened, everybody? The IRS left him alone. No more notices, no more collection letters. Why? He hasn't done anything official, right? Let me ask Travis. Now I will quiz him. Travis, when you want to set up an official payment plan with the IRS and you want to send them a certain amount of money, what did they tell you to do it? How did they tell you? How many months do you have to pay? Do they tell you have to pay it in 1 year or what? What do they use as their baseline timeline?
So the IRS has what they call the streamlined installment agreement, where they will take the amount that you need to pay and divide it by 72 months.
Aha. 6 years.
That's sort of the long term. Yeah.
So if my guy owes this $8,000, everybody, right? What the IRS would do per Travis's instructions is they take the $8,000. Okay, here's my calculator, everybody. $8,000. We're going to divide it by how many months?
72.
We get $111. That's what you have to pay. Mind you, they have to be more because there's interest and penalties, right, Travis?
Right, slightly more.
So what I told my client was, I know you can't pay them $100 a month. There's no way. Send them half every 10th of the month. And I spoke to him on Friday because he was freaking out. And I just told him, hey, are you getting any letters from the IRS? And he says, no. When's the last one you got? Early 2023. And my advice to him as a lawyer was, you're doing great. They're happy with your money, right, Travis? They'll take whatever money you can give to them every month, right? Is that true for the IRS?
If they're not happy, you'll know.
Yes. What do you mean by that?
Well, for one thing, you'll be getting notices saying, hey, you have to pay this tax. And then they'll send you another one that says, hey, we sent you a notice. We really mean it. And then they'll send you another one that says, look, we really, really mean it. And then they'll start helping themselves to your bank account.
So you get four of those, right? 4 of those notices, right?
It's 4. Okay, I lost track. How many?
That's okay. Everybody, we're making a point about this for a really important reason. These notices that come in writing, right, Travis?
Right.
And they used to be 4 weeks apart. Now they're how long apart? 8 weeks apart. First notice saying you owe them. Next notice saying you owe us, you're in trouble. Next one saying you owe us in trouble, we're going to come get you. And then the last one saying if you don't respond to this, we're going into the bank account, right?
Right.
You get lots of time to deal with them. So just remember, if you can't afford to send them something, do it. So back to the presentation. Thank you, Travis, for that quiz. You again get an A. Good work, sir. So just remember, as Travis just mentioned, I asked them those questions very specifically. Look what the first thing that says here, y'all. Remember, IRS and FDB will always contact you via mail first and would tell you whatever issue they have with your tax return, the payment or stimulus or anything on it. And so my team always asks people when they call us, hey, where's the IRS letter you got? We don't care if they got told something on the phone. Frankly, we don't care if they got an email. Wendy, does the IRS ever send taxpayers anything by email?
No.
No. Do they call you and leave you a voicemail? Only when, I'll ask Travis, only when there's a tax court case ongoing, right? When you have an appeals officer on your case, when you have a lawyer on your case who's working on it, right? That's when they'll call you.
Yeah, or if there's a revenue officer, but the
There you
revenue
go.
officer also, they will try to meet you in person before they call. So you definitely know.
Those are the
when
ones
there's
where
a
they show
revenue
up and then knock on the door. Hello, IRS here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there you
their
go. All
little green business card.
Yes, thank you, sir. That's how they do it, y'all. So I'm going to go through these real quickly. We just want to remind everybody that your 2021 return, you guys can see there in the red, that is due before April 18th of this year. It's the reason we are telling everybody to get your 2021 return in. And I'm going to stop sharing here to make a point here, okay? So the 2021 return is the last chance for anybody to get their third stimulus check, the $1,400 that if they did not get it yet, they can do it by filing the 2021 return. And that deadline is coming up this year. Please remember, if you have not filed 2021, don't delay, get that in as soon as possible. That is going to be your ticket to getting your third EIP check if you haven't gotten already, okay? So let me go back to sharing my screen. As Wendy had told you all in this presentation and the slide, get that 2021 in an ASAP. That's the way you can get the third economic impact payment, AKA the RRC, the revenue rebate credit. IRS has a lot of these terms, okay? So just hang with. So here's the table about the EIPs. Again, here's the third one we talked about. I know Wendy did a great job putting these together. So Wendy, how about this slide though? Like contact info. How does everybody reach all the different departments that they need to get a hold of? You have all this info here, right? For everybody. Great.
So you need to file your taxes, please call 211 so that way you can make your appointment and you can file your taxes before April 15. If you have any after tax issues, such as issues getting your refund, the IRS is not communicating with you, you need to go to tax court, audits. Give us a call at 1-877-534-2524. This is our number here on Legal Aid, and we can definitely help you with all your after tax issues. Also, you can try going to the IRS itself. So they have taxpayer assistance centers and the taxpayer advocate service. Some of these places you might need an appointment. So please make sure you call them first, get that appointment going. Sometimes we will ask you to go there because, there are limits on how much we can help you. So, these organizations are very helpful. And all we want to do, help you out with your tax issue. And finally, Shahin, if you want to go back. Once you file your tax return, if you still have questions about your refund, or, you still have a stimulus check that you haven't received, the third one, please give the IRS a call. If you don't call them these years, then pretty much with the third stimulus check, there is nothing that could be done. And also with the franchise tax board. So if you haven't received your Golden State stimulus or the middle class tax refund, give them a call and then we can go on the next slide, Shahin. Because if you don't call them by April 26, 2026, the state of California, they will just use that money to use it for the state. So you want to make sure that you use the funds or otherwise you will lose them. So, if you have any questions or concerns, please check out the IRS website, Franchise Tax Board, United Way of California, or pages, Legal Aid Society of San Diego, or the San Diego Law Library to keep up with the latest tax info. Or next webinars, which, we will talk in detail about taxes. So everything will be about taxes, but it will be a more expanded presentations. Will be this coming March 10, 2025, where we will do our filing taxes, rights and responsibilities presentation. And then on Monday, April 14, 2025, declarando impuestos, derechos y responsabilidades. So it will be the same presentations in Spanish. And I completely forgot, but we also have these same presentation that you guys heard today. We will also have it available in Spanish on Monday, February 24th. I completely forgot about it, so I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
However, if you guys want to check out the San Diego Law Library website, you guys will see it. And it will be the same presentation, but all in Spanish. So if you guys have families or friends that, that would like to watch this presentation in Spanish, make sure you tell them about it. And they're on always our webinars are 12 to 1. So now, if you guys go to our page on our Legal Aid Society of San Diego, we will only have these 3 presentations available. These 2, the ones for March 11 and March 25, we presented them last year. But they should be helpful in terms of getting you used to like what are the tax credits. So because trust me, your tax preparers, they would really appreciate if you tell them, oh, like I want to know about the earned income tax credit. I think I worked this year and I earned this much versus you telling them, here, figure this out for me, figure what tax credit I could claim, and I think if you know a little bit about it, not only would it be helpful for you in the case you have to file, if you have to go through an audit, because you will understand why are you being questioned about and what type of evidence you should keep in case the IRS asks you about it. So we will also recommend you save your tax records. I will say for for 3 to the 7 previous years that you filed. And a big recommendation, just get caught up filing your taxes. We couldn't emphasize more on the 2021 tax refund or tax return that you need to file. If you guys don't file it this year, then yeah, a lot of that money were given during COVID and were the stimulus checks. So the federal government, they're really trying to make sure that they gave that money to everybody that should have received that money. And it's based on your 2019 and 2020 adjusted gross income. So make sure that you get caught up filing your taxes, you get those refunds that you need to get. Because in terms of also getting compliant with your payment agreement, which is what we can help you here on Legal Aid, it's helpful for us when you're caught up filing your taxes. So, just do it, and it's our responsibility. It has a lot of benefits to file your taxes.
Sure does. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, everybody. Before I give some time for questions, I know we started late, so we'll still hang on after 1. I wanted to show you all, when we do these presentations, we had embedded links. Wendy does this on a weekly basis. And if I click on it, and I wanted to make sure I didn't have any client stuff open, you can see it leads you right to where she wants you to go to, okay? So these are terrific. Use them as much as you want. And they're terrific on the presentation. So here we are back again together. Again, I know there might be some Q&A, so let's see what wants to know. A taxpayer reached out to me stating her employer has not paid the taxes without from her paycheck. Ooh, what can the taxpayer do? So you might be talking about somebody who we are going to help because there seems to be some shenanigans happening. Omid is our friend at the IRS. He works at the Taxpayer Advocate Service, I think, or anyway, he's a big shot up there. But Omid was telling us, can you refer folks to us? Yes, we have gotten in the last 6 months. I know Luz knows for sure what I'm talking about. We talked in the beginning of this program about, the rule in the country is for tax purposes, you pay as you go. And I said 75% of the public generally has that taken care of for them by their employer. You work at Legal Aid at the law library, you get a paycheck, and the company, the payroll company, make sure to take those taxes out. FICA, Social Security, right? For Medicare, for your federal income taxes, your state income taxes, all these monies go to fund the unemployment insurance benefits. And Luz and I saw 2 ladies, 2 clients in 2024. And something was weird about their scenario. They kept showing us their W-2s, right, Luz? And, the W-2 would say, Shahin Rahimi worked for this company and he made $12,000 and we withheld 200 of it and sent it ahead of time to the state of California because Shahin's going to owe taxes. So I was like, coolio, thank you. And then I would file my return, as Omid says in the chat, but the state of California would come back to me and say, hey, Shahin, you put on your return that your employer sent $200 ahead of time to us. Sorry, we don't see anything there. What was happening, Luz? The company was keeping that money instead of sending it to the state and committing a crime, right? Yes. So what do? We had our friends at the county. We have some friends here, man. We have other lawyers we know, other people we know. Not just legal aid. So we got our friend Mr. Brandon Butler. Let's name him. Mr. Counselor at the county office is to look into this, and they have now an investigation opened with who, everybody? With the Department of Justice, the District Attorney's Office. And they're going to prosecute this company because this company is cheating our clients. Just like Omid said in the Q&A, right? She said the amount of wages showing on Social Security is 7,000, but her pay stub shows more than 45. So we will help her. Send her our way, Omid. What we do is, what we say, ladies and gentlemen, look at that little telephone number over by Luz's shoulder, by Travis's shoulder, by Wendy's shoulder. Move around, y'all. Look at that. 1-877-534. Look at that. We have the best webinar today, right? A little action, a little movement. Doing some yoga, like downward dog. Okay, sorry. The telephone number is our best way to screen our applicants and our community members to get legal services. We have how many intake folks that do this, y'all, are, and anytime you walk into our legal aid office, right, you see a lovely person at the front. I'm going to do some more name dropping. You got Guadalupe up at the front, right? Very common name. You don't know her last name. Guadalupe's up at the front. She's helping people. Lupe, Guadalupe. She hears all types of things when people come to see us, right? Now they're here to see Luz and I for an appointment at 10 a.m. We saw our client at 10, but other people walk in and ask all types of questions about, what do you guys do? What do you do? Do you help out with this? Do you help out with that? And so she will tell them, yes, we help people, but you have to be eligible for our services. You have to fill out an application for me here in person, Guadalupe says, or she says, call the phone number, or the website, y'all, www.lassd.org. I know our lovely background there says that we are the place where justice begins here, which is true. But I'm going to type an answer here to Omid and say www.lassd.org. I can multitask, y'all. Check us out, okay? Check out our
Goes to
website.
the contact us section. So Omid, tell your client to scroll down to the contact, or go to the contact us section and scroll down, and then there is a yellow section where the client could ask for help.
That's right.
For
They
our
can fill out an
services.
app. Yep. And we've had many people fill out an application online, and the next week we see them in person. It's terrific. So, any other questions? We explained the VITA. We explained what happens in that scenario. Omid's going to send us that person. We're going to see if we can help them. What else? What else, everybody? Yeah, it's getting warm. We live in San Diego. It's nice weather, right? Get out there and.
Oh, Shahin, do you wanted to touch on the wildfires that LA currently here in California is the one that has an extension to file taxes,
Yes.
but not us.
I'm
Knock
so
on
glad.
wood.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up. So, Wendy and I love to say that tax law is always changing and it's fluid, including deadlines, right? Last year, we here in San Diego County, y'all, we got extensions because of the flooding in January. Everybody remembers, right? Stuff happened. People lost their stuff. It was terrible. And so, of course, the government is not blind. So both the federal and the state government said, wait. Those folks in San Diego with their zip codes, right? Zip code of 92114, 92110, 91941. Y'all have automatically an extension because you had to deal with flooding. So as Wendy says, check the IRS website, check the state of California website. They are always updating folks. And so I'm pretty sure, as Wendy mentions, some of those folks in that Los Angeles area, our neighbors that had these difficult times, are going to get deadlines automatically. It depends on their zip code. Pacific Palisades, Pasadena, Malibu, all those areas up in that valley, Woodland Hills, you name it. Any of those counties that got affected, check the websites, they'll know, okay? So happy to be with everybody. Yeah.
Their deadline was expanded until October 15, but just realize, everybody, just because their deadline was expanded, it does not mean that their deadline will be expanded to pay taxes. Like, hopefully the IRS, they will be mindful on that, and it will be an extension to not only file and to pay
as well.
and the estimated tax payments. However, here in California, good thing that, we didn't have a disaster happening. And whenever it does, always the IRS IRS, always the Franchise Tax Board, and always FEMA will all update it on their website. So make sure that if it ever happens a disaster, make sure you check on their websites, to check for any extensions. And of course, we will always let you know. And we had a question if our legal aid, if we serve in Imperial County.
No, but I'm glad you asked because there is a LITC, which is the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic. Oh, I misspelled. Of course I did. My typing isn't wonderful. There is a low income taxpayer clinic, y'all, in San Bernardino. I love those folks up there. We know their names, right? We know Jennifer and Peter. They're the ones who run that clinic up at the Inland Legal Services. Look them up online, Inland Legal Services. And attorney is Peter Lynn, who's the supervisor, and Jennifer Schenke runs that team as well. And so they're the ones you can reach out. It's same as us. The low income tax clinic provides assistance and advice and representation for taxpayers with disputes with the IRS. There are eligibility requirements. Look them up. I'm glad you asked that question. I was going to sound off and say bye, everybody, but we have one more question. So appreciate the time, Kenya. Appreciate the time for the folks that are on with us. We had about 28 participants online, which is exciting. We love to have as many people on to learn about the law. Thanks to my team. They're awesome. Luce, Wendy, Travis, especially Wendy, right? Wendy does like the whole thing. She puts it all together. And then Travis and I poop on it and make some edits and stuff. So thank you, everybody. You guys have a great, wonderful Monday. We will see you next
Hey,
time.
everybody. On the
Bye.
24th, remember, Monday, February 24th, is Spanish webinar, the same content. So please watch us 12 to
Thank
1.
you.
And Luz and I will be doing this webinar, okay?
True. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.